Today we're going to continue with our statistics unit, and we're going to talk about some specific types of graphs. Today we're going to talk about dot plots, and we're going to talk about stem and leaf plots. Not stem. And we're going to talk about how we can look at these representations and go back to the stuff that we talked about in class the other day with mean, median, mode, range, and IQR. So in your journal, whatever page you're on, let's go ahead. We're going to start with a dot plot. And a dot plot is just going to be it only has one axis, okay, which is essentially a number line. And it has dots to represent each data piece, right? And we talked about data pieces in class the other day. It's gonna be those numbers. Keep in mind, this is good for less than 25 pieces of data, right? So we don't want to use this for a whole bunch of data pieces. So maybe I look at scores on our last test, okay? So I'm going to give you, I'm just making up some numbers here. So maybe we had, 75, we had an 80, we had a 70, a 90, a 95, an 83, and a 92. Okay, so if we're going to make a dot plot, actually we have more people in our class than that, so let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we have 14 people, so we'll do another 92. We actually did really good on that test, so we'll go with how's that? 2 more. And there we go. All right, so we have 14 pieces of data. So what we would do with a dot plot is we would make a number line. And we can see that our lowest number here is 70 and our highest number is 100. So we don't need our number line to start at 0. We can start at 70. And we can just count by, I'm going to count by 5s because that's a nice easy number to count by. Okay. And we're just going to put a dot wherever we see these numbers. So I have a 75. There's a dot. I'm going to put a dot on 80. Put a dot on 70. And I'm just going to mark them off real lightly. Not super dark because I still need to be able to see them. But as I go, so 83 is kind of in the middle here. 92 is in the middle. I have 2 of those. Another 90, 100, 80, 95, 90, and 75. Okay, and remember what we talked about, you need to make sure you count. We said we had 14 pieces of data here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, so we got them all. And now we can even give it a title. We can say test grades, and we can use this information to find all of those pieces we talked about in class the other day. So very easily we can see 90 has the most dots, so we can see that the mode is 90. Okay, we could do the range, highest minus the lowest, 100 minus 70 is 30. We could even go through, we could find the median, right? So the median would be the middle number. We said there's 14, so we need to count 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 2 middle numbers. So our median is 90. We could also do the IQR. So now this is my upper numbers and my lower numbers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the middle would be the 4th one. So our lower quartile is 80. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Our upper quartile is 92, so our IQR would be 90 minus 80, which is 12. Okay. We could also find the mean. We could add them all up. I'm not going to do that one. That takes a lot of time, but you guys were doing really good with that. Okay. So that is a stem and leaf plot. You just take all of your numbers and you put a dot wherever they are. Now, there are a couple other things that we can talk about besides these. We can talk about how it looks. We have things called gaps and clusters and peaks and symmetry or symmetrical. So a gap is exactly like it sounds. It's going to be a space between, B/W is between data. So we could say that we have a gap between 83 and 90. We could also say there's a gap between, oh, well, that would be the biggest one, right? We could say we've got a cluster, so we have a group of data. So we have a cluster. We could say from 90 to 95. It's a nice little group. A peak is going to be your high point, right? Sounds exactly like what it is. So we could have a peak at 90. And symmetrical means that it looks the same on both sides. So this one goes 1, 2, 2, 1. This one goes 1, 2, 2, 3. So this is not symmetrical. Okay, and I'll show you an example of one that is. So those are some other things we can do to describe our group. So here is an example of a symmetrical. So maybe I have 3 here, 2 here, 1 here, 2 and 1. And maybe this is, I don't know, maybe this is number of presents you received each birthday. So maybe this is a 5, a 6, a 7, 8, and a 9. So you could see here that this is symmetrical because if we look at the middle, we have, it looks exactly the same on both sides. We can still see, right, we have a peak at 7. The whole thing is a cluster, right? It's a whole grouping, so 5 to 9, and there are no gaps on this one. Okay, you could still go back, you could still find mean, median, mode, range, IQR. But that is what, if we wanted to, we could even take and list out our data. So you can go from a dot plot to your list of numbers. Before we had a list of numbers, we went to a dot plot. So we could say 5, we have 2 6s, we have 3 7s, we have 2 8s, we have 1 9. Okay, so that is how you would go from the dot plot to the data set, or you can use a data set to create a dot plot. The next piece we're going to talk about is a stem and leaf plot. And I'm not sure, sometimes you see this, I keep trying to write STEAM. I'm not really sure why I think that. Stem and leaf plot. And sometimes you do see these in elementary school, but we'll make one just in case. So maybe we have, so a stem and leaf plot is, this is used with several or a lot of data points, okay? And it is a way to group it. I'll give you an example here. Maybe this is, okay, so 35, this is an example. 35 students took a quiz with 30 questions on it. Then below is the number of questions they got correct. Okay, so that tells us we're going to have 35 pieces of data here. So a dot plot is not going to be good for this because that's just too much. Okay, so I'm going to make a list here. The nice thing about a dot plot and a stem and leaf is you don't necessarily have to put them in order. All right, so we have 7, 10, 7, 10, 6, 7, 2, 9, 6, 0, 20, 10, 16, 18, 14, 10, 18, 10, 6, 18, 16, 20, 20, 24, 18, 27, 21, 12, 15, 24, 15, 12, 21, 30, and 21. So a stem and leaf is going to look kind of like a T-chart, okay? Where your stem is going to be, this is going to be your tens place, and your leaf is going to be your ones place. And we must always have a key. So we can see here that we're going from 0 to 30. So our tens place is, so if it's single digits, it's 0. Teens have a 1. 20s have a 2. And 30s have a 3. Now, this is going to be your tens place. This is all of your ones. So if I made a key here, I could say 1/2 is the same as 12. So we're just going to have to look at our numbers and put them in order. Okay, now you do need to put them in order here very carefully. So I'm actually going to start, I'm going to look at my ones, and I can say I have 7, 7, 7, 6, 2, 9, 0. I'm just going to underline them. There's a 6 here. The rest of those are double digits. So I can, out of my underlined ones, I have a 0. So 0, 0 is 0. 0, 2 is 2. 0, 6. And I have 3 7s. So I can see here, oh, and I have a 9. So I can see here, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 single digits. Now, so then we have tens. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I have 3 tens, so I can put my 3 zeros. Oh, there's a 4th one. There's a 5th one. And then we can look for, do we have any 11s? No. I don't, there's a 12. I have 2 12s, so 2 2s. I don't have any 13s. There's a 14. I don't see any 15s. I see, oh, there is a 15. 2 15s. So 5 and 5, 2 16s. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 18s. So I'm going to do 4 8s because my 1 is over here.